Okay, so just a quick recap about what our company does. We're a full e-commerce solution.
Uh-huh.
We have a few parts of our company. We have the shopping cart, the CRM system, inventory system, and so on. And one of the things that sort of highlights our e-commerce solution versus others is the SEO part of it.
Okay.
We do have clients who use the SEO separate from everything else, so they just strictly get it for the SEO purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different kinds of scenarios of how they use it, but I'll just walk you through some of the SEO tools. So the first one, we call it Advanced Analytics. It does a few things. Let me open it here. So this one specifically is visitor behavior. So the visitor behavior is going to do a few things. First, it's going to identify real visits versus fake visits. It's also going to identify click fraud from bots and competitors. It could identify like real bounce rate. Majority of people use Google Analytics.
Right.
When you use Google Analytics and somebody asks you, hey, what is your bounce rate? Google Analytics only has one bounce rate, which combines everything, including fake and bots and real and so on. And everybody uses this number, which is supposed to be like the industry standard. So a lot of times, people say, "Hey, my bounce rate is 50%." If you're new to SEO, you're going to be like, "Well, that's a lot." But if you've done SEO, you'll be like, "Oh, that's an industry standard." Right? Because everybody has like 50%, and then if you eliminate the fake traffic, which you're not sure what it is, you'll be left with some kind of a number, but you don't know what it is.
Sure.
So in our case, we found a problem with that. We're like, well, how do you know your true bounce rate? So using this particular tool, we actually separate the fake visit bounce rate versus the real bounce rate. And I'll show you how we analyze who's fake and who's not in a second. So the other thing that this tool does is detects visitor engagement. I'll show you how that works. And the whole idea, regardless if you're doing organic SEO or paying for traffic, either way, you want to measure the effectiveness of the traffic that's coming in from that keyword. Even if the traffic could be real, it still doesn't mean that it's good. And a lot of times, clients, what they do is focus on organic SEO. They invest all this time and money into building up a rank for a certain keyword, but they actually don't know what the end result will be until they rank. So usually what we tell them to do is maybe you should do AdWords first for one specific keyword that you are betting on, that you're doing organic SEO on, just to give you proof that it's going to give you good engagement and good traffic. And if the proof is there, then you focus on organic. Because otherwise you're going to spend 6 months and then you're going to get something you're not happy with.
Yeah.
So the visitor engagement piece, I'm going to show you how that works real quick. What we do is we track mouse movement for every 20 pixels when the mouse moves. And we track the mapping on the screen. And we create traps. When I say traps within a template, it's, for example, if you're browsing the sales copy for more than a minute, and let's say you didn't convert, we're saying, well, maybe your sales copy is not good. Or if you engaged with the option to get a price for something, and you didn't buy it or didn't even put it into the cart to check for shipping, maybe your price wasn't good. So we track this kind of engagement. And also we track, let's say customer comes in and he browses your category page and he searches, then he leaves. That indicates to us that you might have a product selection problem. We track all this and we give the customers the score. So basically what we do is we tell them what is the threat score for each visit, and we tell them what is the engagement score for each visit. So let me show you how this works. First, how do we detect fake visits? And here's the threat reason why we gave it a certain score. So obviously 10 is bad and 0 is no threat. So what we do is we check for no mouse movement. That's the majority of indicators that that's a bot. We have a 7 million list of offender IP addresses that we subscribe to. If they visited your website at an odd hour, like we give it a little bit of a threat score, but usually when it's a bot, especially if it's coming overseas, people turn their computers on during the day, and US gets the traffic coming in at night, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you see like there's a lot of odd hours of bad traffic coming in. The good traffic, when we say it's excellent engagement, why is it excellent? And we actually give them a reason why it's excellent. So we say there's a long durations, there's a lot of page views and so on. Now this website you're looking at, this is a lead generating website. It's not an e-commerce website. When it says you might have a problem with the sales copy, you probably don't have a problem because they requested a quote. That's why they didn't buy anything. Now let's say that this was an e-commerce website and you're wondering to yourself, well, this traffic here is low threat score. It has excellent engagement. Why didn't they buy anything from me? So you can double click on this. And each one of these pages, you see, like we say, you have a certain amount of actions here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can double click on it and you can either open the page in a browser or you can ask us to render a screenshot with the mapping of their mouse movement. So we can actually show you exactly what they did on your site. I think this was a mobile user. Let me just check. Yeah, he's Android. If it's a cell phone user, everything is a click because as he's touching it, we treat it as a click.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a regular desktop user, let me see if I can find one. i9. Okay, so this one, if I click on him, he wouldn't have like a bunch of clicks. He would actually just have mouse movements. Yeah, so you can see what he did, and you can see he's engaging, right? Like he read the sales copy and he engaged with the choices and he looked at the image and right? So you can see that this is a real guy. And we're telling you he's real because he passed our threat algorithm. So this is the advanced analytic for visitor behavior. Now, there's two pieces to this. The other piece, and again, what you're looking at could be used for both. It could be used for paid SEO and for organic SEO because you still need to analyze the traffic, as you get it.
Well, okay, so this is a per visitor type report. What do people actually do action-wise from this? Or is there, I'm not going to go look through every single one.
Right, so of course you can just, break it down by campaign. You can do AdWords, you can do organic. But before you start analyzing this, there is a report which works together with this. It's called an ROI report. So the ROI report is sort of like the big picture overview of what's going on with your campaign. And with the ROI report, again, it gives you like a 360 view of your campaign. It also can track organic, like sales. We track phone sales. The way the phone sales get tracked is on the footer of every website, we have a customer ID. And as visitors come in, they all have a unique ID. So when somebody calls on the phone, if your company is tracking this, before you start talking to them, you can ask them for the ID, plug it in, and we can track how many calls you got and if the phone's converted into sales. But this is basically the big picture overview. So usually the way people use it is like this. Let's say he's doing AdWords. So first he's going to say, okay, let's eliminate the stuff that's not converting very well. So you sort it by fake visits. And we're basically saying, look, you have 36 fake visits for the year of 2013. You can break it up by month if you want. And your real visits, which was 7, has a poor engagement. So we're actually giving you a suggestion what you should do with this particular keyword. So we're saying you should drop this keyword. It's not producing anything for you. Now, if you're wondering, well, why was it poor? Or you want to, like some of them, we say optimize your sources where the traffic is coming from. And if you double click on it, well, in this case, it's just Google. But if you have a lot of sources, it tells you. You could click on this and then click on visitor details. And we're basically going to segment this specific keyword from this specific campaign in visitor behavior. So you can actually analyze the actual behavior on your site for this little segment here.
Okay.
You kind of use these two together. You look at the big picture, and then once you're wondering like what's going on at a certain keyword, then you start analyzing the visitor behavior side of it.
Okay.
This is the tools that could be used for, again, paid and organic. Now we have also 12 organic apps strictly that does only organic SEO. Let me just go through some of them. The first one that we have is called Visitor Generated SEO. Let me just go to this guy's website here. Popular. Okay. So the way the visitor generated SEO works is when somebody comes to your website and they search for a keyword, we take the search result page and we add it as another page into the popular search, which becomes an SEO friendly page that was built for you on the site. Then what we do is we put it a part of the sitemap. One of the apps that we have, this is what I was going to show you, that this actually renders that segment. So it's for AdWords and for 16-inch wheels. And you can see who the referrer was and which one was producing what, and you can sort by fake and suspicious and so on. Do you have any questions on this one? Just before I move on to the visitor generated SEO.
No, I'm okay right now.
Okay. With a visitor generated SEO, we have an app here called SE URL submission, and what we do here is we take your sitemap and we can automatically submit it to Google Webmaster Tools for you. So basically, just to recap what happens, somebody searches for a keyword, we build it a popular page. Let's use this one for example. So we build this page automatically. We put it a part of your sitemap. We submit it to Google. Google indexes the page. And the next thing that happens is if you're going to take this keyword, so we're going to take this big wheels center caps, and we go to Google. I haven't tested this, so I'm not sure if it's going to come up, but okay, it does. So you see that this website came up. There's actually 2 pages here. And you can check in your, it seems like I clicked on these links, but I'm sure if you search for the same keyword term, it's going to come up on your end. But basically, this is a way to kind of harvest the long tail keywords from your website visitors to create actually SEO pages that Google will find and index.
So the value you're adding is the automatic creation of the page, or?
Yes, it's basically a capturing of the long tail keywords as your customers are searching for them on your website, and the automation of the creation of the page, which then gets submitted to Google Sitemap and gets indexed, and that page ends up ranking for that specific long tail keyword.
How do you know what to create on the page?
What we do is, let me go there. So if we go to Visitor Generated SEO, and we click on visitor searches. So basically it says, look, the customer searched for this specific keyword term. We have a very advanced search. It's like an intelligent search which can predict what they're looking for. And in this case, based on what he searched for, we said we found 75 products, and there was 822 searches for this product, and the last one was searched today. So what we do is if the products are found based on the keyword that they were looking for, then we create a page. If there's nothing found, we do not create a page.
Okay, but how do you know what to put on the page?
Well, we put the products on the page. So it looks like these products here are the data from the website.
Okay, and so does the customer have to identify which of his products are related to certain keywords?
No, as long as their content is optimized for on-site optimization, they have their titles done well and descriptions, and they can put search tags. As people search the website, we can actually predict what they were looking for, like Google predicts, and we will produce the results based on the relevancy that we have, and those are the ones that we will show up for the customer, and that's the ones we would plug in here.
Okay.
There's 2 parts to the visitor generated SEO. One is where the visitor searches, and one is if you want to create your own pages. Right, you could just go in here and put in as many keywords as you want. You can generate those from Google, the keyword generator, or you could use our search. So this is an LSI search. It's basically like synonyms from the search engine. And if I type in, let's say, the Vossen wheels, which is the last keyword we were using, it's going to tell me other related keywords that might be relevant to this particular keyword. And then if I want to, I can plug them in. So this is basically like doing keyword research. Vossen wheels, you can also use the word rims, you can use luxury, and if you double click on it, it gives you more variations of this. This is our LSI tool that's built in here. As far as what kind of results do you get from this, you can see that for 2013, right, so this is like exactly 1 month, organically this customer got 6,300 visitors, and visitor generated SEO, the one that was generated by us, he got 1,600 visitors. And he doesn't interact with this, so this is just strictly automated. So he got an extra 1,600 visitors just by having this feature turned on.
Okay.
Usually people who interact with this feature, meaning they actually use this part where they put in their own keywords and they optimize their content. So the keywords you're going to plug in, there will actually be content found on your site. They can easily double the amount of traffic they get compared to organic. So let's say if he was actually using this feature, he could be getting 12,000 extra visitors instead of 1,600 just from this feature alone.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that they use it for is they can sort by products and they can see how many searches they got. If there was 0 products found, they can maybe, try to see if maybe they want to add those products.
Mm-hmm.
That's the visitor generated SEO. Then we have what we call a blog poster. So what a blog poster does, let me give you the background behind the blog poster. So we recommend all of our clients to follow this algorithm to rank their website. So we're basically saying, look, if you want to rank for 10 keywords, you need a total of 400 unique backlinks, and here's how your anchor text are supposed to look like when you're doing backlinks. If you're wondering how we come up with this, I use Ahrefs, and I do research on the top 500 retailers to see how their backlinks are done.
Mm-hmm.
I have 12 years experience in this. But basically, I just went and I looked at relevancy between all the top websites that do naturally get their links. And if you compare my formula here against any one of them, well, not any one of them, but the majority of them using Ahrefs, you'll see a very similar pattern where most of the backlinks are not keyword related. They're just company name related or domain related or something like that. And then the keywords specifically are very few links. And the ones that have a really high authority on that link are the ones that actually get you ranked. And that's why I said, look, if you're going to do this, you need at least a 1 Href domain rank. They have their own ranking system. For the keywords, you need a 30. So usually if you do like a press release and you actually get published like on Yahoo Finance or something like that, that's a good over 30 domain rank, and that will rank your keyword if you have this part done here. Now, a lot of our customers are like startups and small businesses, so they're like, we don't have time or resources to do this part here. You know, we can focus on this, but we don't really have time for this. So what we did was we developed what we call a blog poster. And what the blog poster does is it synchronizes your content from your store. It could be either articles, so the clients that don't use this for e-commerce, they just put it for articles. They just plug articles in here. You can use Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, and so on. And basically, you synchronize your store's content with the third-party blogs, which you control. And as we do the synchronization, we actually plug in a one-way link back to the website using only this particular section of the formula. So in other words, we help them build the majority of their backlinks specifically for their main domain name and domain name variations.
Okay. The links you're helping build, those are within their own domain, or are they hosted somewhere else?
Let me see if I can find an example. This is not a great example, but it'll be something like this, where you have a blogger. In this case, his products are getting synchronized, but it would be like articles or products, whatever he chooses.
Okay.
It would basically synchronize to the blog, which basically, like we're saying, how many blogs should link to you? And we're saying 220. So from the blog poster's perspective, you probably need like 10 blogs altogether. We recommend our clients to interact with a blog. So don't just take the blog and publish your content and do nothing with it. You can do both, because you can put delays here. So you could say, for example, delay by 2 hours, and you can say delay by 72 hours. Every X amount of hours, it does a post onto the blog automatically.
Okay. So you encourage people to go create 10 different blogs and then...
Well, depending what they need. If it's a new client, obviously he has to start from scratch. But if it's an existing client, like this client here, the one that I was going to show you a screenshot, he only had to do 2 blogs and put a delay to do 1 post a day. The thing is, the blog can be used for valuable content, but you also need to get these links here, the ones that link back to you using a domain name for your anchor text. You can do them, but you need a lot of them. You need 220 links from the blog, which means that if you're going to create valuable content, you need to create 220 pieces of valuable content, which is a lot, especially for a startup. So instead, we're saying, why don't you create 5 or 10 pieces of valuable content, and the rest of the links, let the blog poster handle it for you.
Okay.
So anyway, the results is like this. Here is a client. You can see that he was always, under 250. And then there was a Panda update, and he spiked up, and then he spiked down. But all he did was he started using the blog poster to increase the authority of his domain. I took this screenshot a week ago. You can see that he's right almost at 500 already, and it's like stably increasing. Slowly, all of his pages increase. We're not ranking for any specific keyword. We're just ranking for the overall web page to increase all the pages' authorities, so all the pages end up getting ranked higher. And the way you do it is by not specifying a keyword, just rank the main domain name.
Okay.
So that's the blog poster. There's a few more I'm going to show you. We have the keyword rank monitor. So this is basically seeing where you are ranking for a specific keyword, and it keeps a history of it, so you can track back to see how well you're doing. And you can do different search engines. You can do Google and Yahoo Bing, which is the same search results. So that's self-explanatory. Then we have articles. With articles, you can do a few things. Obviously, you can just go and create an article about whatever and optimize it. So one of the things we do for optimization is we tell you, put in the words you want to rank for, and then if you say activate SEO, we actually, again, you can use your own formula. We're just recommending a formula. But we're basically saying what the density should be on your primary keyword and the secondary keyword, And we give you advice here, and if you click on it, we actually show you where all your words are and how many more you need to add. So in this case, we're saying add 5 more words for this word.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he already cleaned it up, but there's about like 50 checks here. There's like meta tag checks and title checks and so on. Now, the way this thing works is if you get this perfect, so we're not giving you any more recommendations, and you check it against any SEO checker like SEO Moz, or there's a bunch of different ones, it'll give you a very good score. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect because everybody has their own little tweaks, like you should have this and not that and so on, but overall it'll be a very high score for on-site optimization. So this is basically to create articles and actually optimize them for the search engines. And there's all this, talk about having LSI words and putting those as synonyms to your primary words. So we have that thing which I showed you earlier.
What's an LSI word?
I'll show you. So let's say if I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to type in the word wheels, and I'll put this mark here, right?
Okay.
You see how racing is highlighted?
Yeah.
Okay, so usually you know how this works. Whenever you type something in, whatever is relevant will be highlighted, right?
Right.
If I'm going to just put the word wheels here, only the word wheels will be highlighted, nothing else.
Uh-huh.
So when you put this little mark here, all the synonym words that the search engine knows about will also be highlighted, like rims, that racing was here. So LSI is basically like, in simple English, it's synonyms by the search engine.
Okay.
There's all this talk about that, by having more LSI words in your content, you'll rank better because, like in this case, I typed in the word wheels, and this guy has 2 relevant words in his title, right? Wheels and race, while this guy only has 1 word. So they're saying that if you have more than 1 word, you're actually triggering 2 keyword matches versus 1 keyword match according to Google.
Mm-hmm.
This is old stuff. This was talked about in 2010. Anyway, so you can search for LSI words and then plug them in if you want to do that.
Okay.
Then we did some automation here. There's a lot of clients that do local. They have brick and mortars locally in a certain city. They needed a quick way to penetrate the local market. So what we did was we created what we call APS articles, which is an article portal system. What APS articles does is it replicates whatever you need replicated. So in this case, he wants to get local articles into California with his product. So he wants to rank locally in California with all his products, right?
Okay.
I did a random search here. So I just typed in the word Vossen wheels, which is one of the wheels he carries, and I put in Arcadia, California, and look at that. Out of 500,000 search results, he comes up number 1.
Hmm.
Now the question is, how did he do that? Well, if you look at the article, what we did was we actually created a page for every single city and state with every single one of his products, and the title of the page is Wheels in Arcadia, California.
Mm-hmm.
So we call the pages as the city and state, we put in the keywords that are coming from his products, and we build a page for every single city and state that he specified he wants to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're a plumber selling plumbing supplies. So a lot of times what people are going to search for is, I want to find a certain thread pipe in my city or some zip code. And we cover all the zip codes also. So if you type in like Vossen wheels in the zip code, you'll also come up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically an automated way to get into the local market.
Okay. And are you hosting that page for him?
It is a hosted solution, so anybody who wants to use our SEO tools outside of e-commerce, we basically just create a subdomain for them, and they use more of our content management system versus e-commerce side of things. This APS is for automotive clients. This is for the locals. And one more thing that this thing can do, because sometimes you pick up really good articles, and you know how you can share them on Facebook and share them on Twitter. So we made it a way where you could email whatever you find into your own website, and it'll basically go into articles. It's sort of like emailing articles to yourself right inside your website.
Okay.
All right, so there's another tool here. This one is really basic. I don't make a big deal about it, but it's here. So we just make it easier for the startups who don't know about SEO. If they want to submit to a directory submission, we recommend that you should have about 80 links to directories with no keywords. We never tell people to try to rank for a keyword because that's not how you do it anymore. If you want to rank your website, you always rank for your domain name, and the keywords should be coming from a very, very valuable article on an authority source. That's it. Otherwise, you're going to not get any kind of results. Whenever I tell anybody to do directory submissions or blogs or articles or anything like that, it all has to go back to just rank your domain name, do not rank anything else. In this case, what we're doing is we're saying, look, if you want to do directory submissions, he might ask me, well, where do I find directories? Go to Link Finder, click on Add URL, type in whatever you're selling, wheels, search, and we just basically give him a shortcut by plugging in his keyword with all these tags so he can just find a directory that he can submit to.
Okay.
Some directories require you to have reciprocal links. To manage your reciprocal links, we have what we call outbound links. And outbound links, you can just create the links that need to be reciprocal, but what we also do is we check to make sure that they're linking back to you. So once a month, let's say if you're managing your link exchanges this way, you can go in and you can check mark all the links and you can say which ones are still linking to me. And if they don't link to you, you could actually move them to a blacklist, or you can remove them, or you can do whatever you need to do with them.
Okay.
We had a few customers who would sell, let's say, an iPod cover, and it's available in like 15 different colors, right? And you can only write so much about the same cover in 15 different colors, but they did not want it to have a single page with color options. They wanted to have it separated as individual products. Their concern was, how can we make it easier to rewrite the content without actually rewriting it because it's redundant? We made them a text spinner. We don't recommend people using it, but it's there if they want to. You put in the content, we generate the synonyms for the words, and then you could just keep pressing spin the text, and it gives you different variations of it. In case you have that situation where you have the same product with multiple options which are the same, you can use this to help you get that uniqueness in your content. The last thing we have is the social media piece. What happens is when you have customers, there is a really big benefit to making sure that they're also your friends on Facebook and Google+. Obviously, there's benefits social media related, but I'm talking about SEO benefits. So the SEO benefits is that if you have a Google+ page, for example, if your Google+ page is linked to your website, right, and you happen to be a friend of one of your customers, automatically when somebody searches anything that's found on your website will automatically rank higher versus anyone else, and it's only because you're friends with them. So basically what we do is we say, look, you just press Facebook, here's all your new registered customers, you just click add friends on Facebook, and we're going to make this automated. Right now it's like a little bit of a manual process, but the goal is to take all your registered customers and all your newsletter subscribers and automate adding them to your Facebook, to your Twitter, and to your Google+, so you're friends with them. And this way, from the SEO perspective, if they actually search for something, again, that you have on your website, they'll actually find the products that you carry.
Okay.
So this is it. This is all the tools that I wanted to show you. Do you have any questions about any of them?
So are most of your customers tire and wheel?
A lot of them are automotive, but we have all kinds of customers in supplements and healthcare and furniture. And
How do you keep up on the latest SEO practices? What do you do?
me personally, I'm the one who coordinates everything that has to do with SEO for the software. And my daily read before I go to sleep is search engine land and tech meme and so on. So I keep up to date with the latest changes. But as far as how do I come up with these things, it's really just from experience. I mean, there's a lot more ideas I have about automating different things for SEO, which still Google would favor. Like the example with the long tail keywords. I mean, it's just humanly impossible to do this without spending a fortune. Like only the really, really big companies may be able to afford something like this if they wanted to do it. So for a small business, we needed to figure out what can we automate without going into the black hat world. This type of automation is not a black hat automation because we're still unique content. We're still picking up long tail keywords. You just automate. So whatever that can be automated, we try to do that.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Igor.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.